Hey, how's it going? Dave 2D here. So this is a video on the new iMac Pro, and this is going to be like a two-part video. I'm going to do a comparative performance review between the iMac Pro and 3 other powerful desktops that I've been using over the past little bit. And then for the second part of this video, I want to talk about the idea of this product as a whole. So for the comparison, we have 4 desktops. So first is this iMac Pro. It's the 10-core model, 64 gigs of RAM with the Vega 64 GPU. And then we have a Threadripper Alienware Area 51. So this thing has 16 cores, 64 gigs of RAM, and a pair of GTX 1080 Ti's in SLI. And then we have a Ryzen 1700X build. This is an 8-core CPU, 64 gigs of RAM, single GTX 1080. And then lastly, we have the 10-core Trashcan Mac Pro. Now, this thing is a little bit dated. It's 4 years old at this point, but before the iMac Pro came out recently, this thing was literally the most powerful Apple computer that you could get for multi-core applications. Performance on the 10-core iMac Pro is very good. Like if you ignore the price of this thing and you only look at the performance benchmarks, you can see that it's better than the 8-core Ryzen by quite a bit, and it's a noticeable step up from the 2013 Mac Pro, but as expected, it's not as good as the 16-core Threadripper. So these benchmarks obviously don't show us everything because this thing's running a Xeon processor with ECC memory, but it does give you a general idea of how they perform relative to each other. Now, I'm an Adobe user, particularly Adobe Premiere, so I'm gonna focus my performance review of these devices for Premiere. So these are the render times for my workflow, which is 5K footage from a Scarlett W camera, and we're seeing the same kind of trend here. Performance on the 10-core iMac Pro is very good. Not as fast as the Alienware Threadripper system, but it's still pretty impressive. The thermal performance is also really good because cooling a 10-core CPU in a form factor like this is not easy, and then doing it quietly is even more difficult, and we're looking at very comfortable temperatures on idle or load. Fan noise is also surprisingly quiet. It doesn't come on very often, but when it does, it's very tolerable. So yeah, there's a lot of good things about the iMac Pro. I mean, it looks really good. The Space Gray is awesome. The Space Gray keyboard is really cool. And the Black Lightning cable, which for some people is really important. The 5K screen looks amazing with an improved webcam. And the I/O is pretty good as well. You're getting way more ports than the average Apple computer. And as you saw earlier, the thermal management is quite good. But the thing that makes this computer special to me is the form factor. They're able to stick so much great hardware into a relatively small all-in-one package. And it's a very nice looking package in my opinion. But the reason why I made this video, and the thing that kind of bugs me with this product, is the price tag. So this is an Apple product. Apple products tend to be a little bit more expensive, and it's a professional Apple product, so you're gonna pay a little bit more of a premium than normal. But you often see this argument being thrown around about how this thing is not overpriced, because if you tried to build this thing from scratch, like through your own parts, the price tag would be not too different from what Apple charges. But I don't entirely agree with that, because I think most people that are building systems with Xeon processors and ECC memory wouldn't be pairing it up with a 5K screen. So Xeon processors are used for applications where it's just constant heavy use of the CPU. So if you're a stock trader or just doing any kind of application where you're doing complex calculations all day, every day, you're running scenarios or something like that, Xeon makes sense. If your renders take like 18 hours to run, then yeah, Xeon makes sense. And same with the RAM. If your applications require huge amounts of data to be transferred around in memory and you just cannot have any room for error, then sure, ECC RAM is great for you. But for most people, for most professionals that they don't want this stuff. They want really powerful computers, and in 2018, we have the ability to buy really powerful computers that are not Xeon processors and do not require ECC memory. And it bugs me that Apple is putting this type of equipment as the only option for those professionals. So most people, most professionals, they want high core count. They want like 8, 10, maybe 12 cores. And for Windows users, there's plenty of inexpensive options right now. We can get like Ryzen CPUs, i7, i9, even Threadripper is cheaper than this stuff. With Xeon, you're paying a huge premium for the processor, for the architecture, and you're forced to buy just expensive components across the board to make that stuff work. And with Apple, you're locked into that ecosystem just to be able to get high core count. So for certain content creators that work with Apple applications, this kind of makes sense because it's really your only option. But for people that work with applications that have multi-platform abilities, like you can do it in Windows or you can do it on Apple, like the Adobe application, this product is just, it feels so overpriced. I really enjoy the OS X, or Mac OS they call it now. I enjoy Mac OS, but this product just feels way too expensive to justify its purchase, at least for someone like me, like a kind of mid-tier content creator. So that's what we have, a very overpriced, I'm gonna use that term, overpriced product from Apple this year that fits the needs for a very few number of people, but I think for most people, it should be a pass. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. See you guys next time.